trying to find practical solutions going ahead because situation is still tough, and we are all stakeholders in this. Every single person sitting at home, any part of the country now, it's not just a Delhi issue. It is now a reality in several parts of the country. But let's just take a dipstick test because we're doing it every day. Because Excel sheets and app records do not reflect the picture. It's better to hear from people who are actually dealing with patients every day on what the real picture on the ground is. Dr. Mishra, Dr. Gilada, and Dr. Goyal are still with us. Dr. Gilada, if I can quickly begin with you, sir. How are things now? Now every day we do a dipstick test. Are the number of desperate calls you're getting, is it increasing, stabilizing? Are you being able to help more people in terms of getting beds? Is the situation better, worse, or much the same?
I think overall the situation is the same except Maharashtra. Here we are able to get beds, here we are able to get oxygen, and there are no dispersion in Maharashtra. But rest of the country, whether it's a UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, we are getting calls from everywhere. And also they are trying to tap all resources available. And I've been also troubling a lot of doctors like Dr. Mishra in Delhi and Dr. Wali in Delhi. Can you get a bed for our patient? So this situation is same. Oxygen problem is still the same. Medicine problem to some extent is okay, but there is a shortage of steroid, choice of steroid. Steroids are available, but choice of steroid is there. So that is a problem, and probably it should be growing more and more if cases go up. Only we had a weekend syndrome where some testings are low, so the total number have come down in India on Saturday and Sunday. We will find what is today, and probably the cases are going to grow up by another 10 or 15% today. So probably going to be a bigger problem, but we need to sort out.
Okay, Dr. Goyal, so a little bit of relief in Mumbai because the caseload has certainly come down there. Positivity rate, forget the number of tests now, positivity rate has been under 10% now for a few days. In Delhi, it's fallen by 4%, but what's the practical reality where you are sitting, sir? Are you being able to take more calls and help more people, or is it much the same?
It is same, Rishabh. We are not able to help people, though I must agree that the number of calls which come to us probably was less in the last 2 days, and probably it was a weekend effect, I don't know, but I'm not able to help people still. But what we can, I just want to make a point that this is the time when other states where we have not seen the peak, they should prepare themselves. They should learn from Delhi that we did not prepare ourselves even after seeing how Mumbai was suffering. And similarly, other states where we haven't seen the peak, like Bihar, like Chhattisgarh, like MP, Rajasthan, I think they should learn and they should quickly prepare themselves that in case they get into this situation, they are well prepared, unlike us. So okay. I think that is one thing.
Now the practical things for people watching the broadcast before I open Dr. Mishra. There's another train now arriving. This is the third train coming with oxygen. The Delhi's oxygen quota has gone up from 450 where it was to 900 plus. Cryogenic tankers are now coming. I can tell you from practical experience that cylinder refilling has become slightly easier in the past couple of days. Not for the hospitals, but the NGOs and all that are helping have become more organized. So if you have access to the right NGO in a period of time, it's still a many-hour wait, but at least you are being directed to the right places because initially it was hoax calls and people were simply not taking the call anymore and there was nothing available. So that's little better. I don't know what's happened with all the oxygen concentrators that are coming in from abroad. I don't have any information of where they've gone. I'm assuming they've gone somewhere and not into the black market and being sold for 2 or 3 times the price. Dr. Mishra, just your anecdotal, I know it's not statistical, but has it become easier to help people get beds? Is it much the same?
ICU is still a problem. Oxygen, if those who can organize at home, I am encouraging more people to do their breathing exercises, prone breathing, and the number of patients and people actually whom we know have taken care of themselves at home by these methods, and they have improved over last 1 week without going to the hospital. So that is one thing which is very significant, and they had a score of 11, 12 and 13, not so mild. It was moderate score. And that has happened. Today somebody was looking for a bed and they got in Gangaram. So that is something surprised me also. So I think let's keep our fingers crossed and things will improve in next coming week because the lockdowns will have their effect now. And I really feel that we will improve things in terms of, and there are this The only problem is those who want to help. Like there is a IIT Roorkee alumnus. They have generated some funds in Dubai, and they are in touch with me for oxygen concentrators. They have bought 100 oxygen cylinders to be airlifted. So they were having some problems. So in case there is an issue, I'll get in touch with you.
No, please, sir. Please, if you need to send a plane across, we can put it.
So they want to airlift 100 cylinders from Dubai, and there was some permission was needed. So I said, let me know what is that.
No, whatever we can do to help, sir. I mean, whatever these are
concentrator. Only thing, concentrators they are ordering, but they say it will take 15 days. Okay. Maybe they may not need then. But
no, but other parts of the country will need. So,
as many as you send, and some people have organized, like Shishu Mandir in Noida, they have organized 10 beds, oxygen beds. So I said, you take the concentrators there. So I think people are doing, a lot of people are doing a lot of
NGOs are stepping.
Yes. I'll just flag it here. So in case when a situation comes for vaccination, there is somebody called Amit Bhatnagar, and he is doing on this motorcycle something, taking the help those who need it. And we can pitch in the vaccination also, doorstep vaccination.
Okay, so people who can't leave the house, there are going to be people who can't leave the house. I have a lot of people who are now,
my mother-in-law, we would like that she should be given at home actually.
Correct.
Because you can't go out and take it. So I think there is this.
Okay. So these are practical things. Many other things that can be put together. Dr. Goel, in terms of your priority, has that changed in terms of what the emergencies are? Is it still oxygen, or are there other concerns that are still now emerging we haven't discussed so far?
No, I think there are two aspects to it. One is to treat the people who are suffering, and second, to how do we prevent that we do not get third or fourth wave. So we have to have a parallel strategy, and we have already discussed in the last show that how for vaccination we are going to have a strategy that we must abolish the quota, we must make sure that the prices are same, and more centers should be opened up for vaccination. We must organize RWAs, colleges, school, or home vaccinations if possible. That is to prevent the third and the fourth wave. And now coming to the suffering, obviously oxygen remains the most important ingredient to cure the suffering or to treat the suffering.
Okay.
Even if you are not able to get a hospital bed, but if you are able to get oxygen, a lot of patients' life can be saved even by treating at home, as Dr. Mishra was mentioning. A lot of people we are treating at home and they are getting better, but they require psychological support. They require assurance that in case you require oxygenation, it will be available to you, whether it is home availability or whether you will get a bed in the hospital or you will get a quarantine center where an oxygen bed is available. All these options have to be ramped up as quickly as possible. And I'm again mentioning not only in Delhi, we need to look at it outside Delhi, the whole country.
I've had so many telecasts pointing this out for several days, including all day yesterday. And all the good doctors here were with us yesterday as well. Dr. Goel, for other states now planning oxygen, now what the lessons we learned from Delhi was getting from A to B, shortage of canisters, hospitals, who are seeing 4 or 5 times oxygen demand, not having enough reserve capacity, which means they need to be filled once or twice a day. What of these can other states now say, okay, how can we fix these problems?
I think they can make more beds closer to the oxygen generating facility. This is the time now when they should ramp it up closer so you don't lose time in the transportation. And also maybe they can deploy local forces, whichever is at their command. So the oxygen transportation should be done by the forces. So there is no problem of that somebody snatching, people are not letting the oxygen cylinder or the truck passing by. So all this needs to be done now. All the strategy needs to be done now and executed at the time if it is required. And let's hope it is not required in those states, but that is the wishful thinking.
No, right now is wishful thinking. Like I think I'm slightly more hopeful with Delhi now of having passed the worst. Fingers crossed, like Bombay. Maybe 2-3 weeks from now, but I'm deeply concerned about the reports we're getting from Lucknow, from Bengaluru, from Rajasthan, from Kolkata. Beds are not available. Dr. Mishra, again, we've had a lot of conversations of lessons being learned from Delhi because we don't want to see the same kind of crisis happening in Kolkata and Bengaluru elsewhere. We'll just, I think as a nation, we won't be able to just mentally handle it now. In terms of oxygen, sir, what are the lessons learned here that other states who are still 2 weeks behind or 3 weeks behind, still have time, can utilize those through 2-3 weeks well?
They should immediately do oxygen audit of each healthcare facility, list them and see what is their usage now, and scale it up 5 times, 6 times or 10 times and see how best it can be done, because refilling may be needed not twice, it may be needed 4 times actually in 24 hours if your patient volume is large, and most patients are on oxygen, most patients are in critical care units, on non-invasive ventilation, on BiPAP or high flow nasal cannulas. They consume a lot of oxygen, which of course goes waste, lot of it, but then it is needed for these pneumonias which are of severe variety. So I think that is what they can do immediately, put a task force of doctors to do this audit and let them submit the recommendation that how much scaling up is needed and where it can be done with the cylinders, big cylinders, where it can be done with the oxygen tank, and how frequently that tank needs to be filled, because this Greater Noida Sharda Hospital, where I am affiliated with, we have to fill it at least 4 times in 24 hours. This tank, and we are putting up a bigger tank now, so that will be functional in a couple of days. So that we did because government asked that you be required to give us 700 beds, oxygen beds, and that we did that for that reason.
So practical question, Dr. Mishra. Earlier I think the first 1 week or so, when it became completely, the gates were blocking it. We don't know what was going on, and the vendors were putting their hands up and saying we can't come. They stopped picking up the calls. And then we had nodal officers who said, we understand the problem, but what can we do? Has that situation stabilized? That when you call the vendor or call the nodal officer, maybe a bit late, but things are moving a bit better now?
No, it has been I know Gautam Buddha Nagar, it is the district magistrate is responsible for oxygen refill, and they take care of it. They are monitoring every hospital's consumption, whether it's Yatharth, whether it's Sharda, whether it's other hospitals. So they are monitoring the consumption, and they are comparing also how many patients which hospital has, how many is consuming. So they are also questioning that you have less patients, why are you consuming more? The Yatharth has more patients, they are consuming less. So this audit is being done continuously.
Okay,
so
but when you're making the call, it is let burdensome for a hospital administrator to run around in ambulances and get, at least for the larger hospitals, smaller hospitals.
Hospital administrators will have to be on their toes. I think they are supposed to be, and this is their job. So they cannot, because doctors are working in ICUs. So hospital administrators have to be on toes.
Okay, one bigger problem which we've seen over the weekend, the Batra hospital was one. There's another one that happened, a problem. Dr. Goel, the smaller hospitals, and I'm buying smaller, and they're not 5-10 beds. I'm talking about 50, 100 beds. Large by the staff having to go in their own ambulances, hunting for places to get people done. Is that becoming slightly better, or is it still trouble?
I think that is becoming better, because now there are nodal officers which are working round the clock, and they are, as Dr. Mishra said, they are auditing the places and they are supplying the quota. They are actually controlling the oxygen supply. The nodal officers guides, that okay, now the tanker is coming and you will get this much according to the capacity, according to the number of patients. And obviously they keep a check that you're not utilizing more than your capacity, and you're not wasting. So I think that is a good part.
Okay, so there's slight relief. What is the anecdotal evidence you're getting from Delhi, Dr. Gilada? Because a lot of the doctors last week were telling us our staff are spending 8 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours just running around trying to refill canisters. Is that slightly better? Must the same? What is the anecdotal evidence you're getting?
It is all the same, because what government or officials are doing is that they inquire what is your requirement, and they negotiate in that and send less requirement. Actually, whatever is the requirement, you send 50% or 100% more, so that person doesn't have to call you again. The efficiency during the daytime and efficiency during the night time is different. And if you have to send your staff and the staff is waiting there, here the same staff is doubling up and working as a oxygen supply person or oxygen mechanic person. So it is a very difficult situation. So you need to do a very good, robust practical guideline who can be managed at home, who can be managed by the OPD, outpatient basis, or a COVID care facility, and who can be in inpatient. And one way to inquire with the hospitals that what is your oxygen requirement and provide them 50% or 100% more, so that that person doesn't have to call back again.
Okay. What is the possibility in, because the oxygen facilities in hospitals, I mean, you can put a cylinder into an ICU if you need one, but generally it's piped. Most of the medium size, large size will be piped. Is the expansion difficult to do, Dr. Gilada, or is it?
All these days they have been managing. If they are unable to manage, they would not have put those oxygen beds also. The problem is supply. It is not utilization. Yeah, okay. What Dr. Mishra said is to go oxygen audit, but again that audit is to be done by a medical doctor, not by a collector. There was one collector who went to Alwar and he realized that oxygen supply is going west, so he closed down ventilator. Person died. So don't do auditing by somebody who doesn't understand oxygen. The time which has come, there should be oxygen ministry now. The person, ministry means a department, everybody. So they just look at oxygen supply chain mechanism, where it is required, how much it is required, how do we cut the leakage. So on one hand we have to reduce the demand, on the other hand we have to increase the supply, and either patient can go to oxygen or oxygen can go to patient.
Okay, how many hospitals, Dr. Goyal, are very seriously considering, or have you had any information in your community about these? I'm told now 3 of the oxygen plants are ready in Delhi. Commonwealth, I'm told, has started today. That they managed to start one of their small oxygen plants. Are you getting information within your own circles that these things are becoming operational, or are more hospitals looking to?
Even at our Max BLK hospital, where I am associated, they have been able to procure a plant which should be up and about in a couple of days. So we are a 600 bedded facility, and we are today only I was seeing that they are now engaging and trying to put the plant. So in a couple of days it should be up and about. So I am told that
I mean that can cater to 30-40% of reserve. How much do you think that will help?
Around 25%.
That's not bad. Okay, that's 25%.
Not bad. And I think all hospitals above the size of 200 beds, I am told, are now in considering to put up their own plant.
Okay, Dr. Mishra, from very practical experience, since you just mentioned that you're in the hospital you're affiliated with, Sharda, that they are trying to increase the storage capacity. Now, is that the vendors for doing this work? Is it a complicated problem, or is it just about getting the right person at the right place?
No, I think they got hold of one vendor who is doing it, and I think the tank is up. So we hope that it will be filled either today or tomorrow. So
that's excellent news. And that increases by 10%, 20%. How much does that add capacity?
No, it will almost double our capacity.
Oh, excellent. That's good news. So there is some heartening news that it's becoming better and
another thing, Rishabh, another thing besides oxygen, even if there is oxygen, there are BiPAP machines also.
Right.
So, like in Fortis Vasant Kunj, this patient I was talking about, they say you need BiPAP because she has 23 out of 25 score. She is a diabetic. She has undergone kidney transplant twice. In the past, she is on immunosuppression. She was doing reasonably okay, but now her saturation is dipping to 85. So she needs to be given under pressure oxygen. And they say whatever BiPAPs we have are being used. ICU, as soon as there is a bed, will shift you, but right now there is no bed. So if you can arrange BiPAP, we can start BiPAP there. They have oxygen. So I am trying to find out BiPAP for this lady. I have got a number of a vendor, so I have referred that number. Hopefully they will buy it and give it to the hospital.
Okay. So BiPAP machines also pointed out. Okay, so the things are heading in the right direction. So just picking up from this, Dr. Goyal, for both public and private sector hospital administrators in other parts of the country. Now, chains that you are affiliated with have hospitals, but there are a lot of hospitals which are very city-centric. It's a big hospital, but it's only in that city. They don't have nationally, so they're not internally perhaps getting the feedback from their sister hospitals elsewhere. But I'm sure doctors are sharing amongst themselves. What would your public advice be? Here's a live telecast. What would your public advice be to hospital administrators in other parts of the country? What should they be doubling the capacity, 25% more? How much more?
No, I think there's, unfortunately, their hands are tied. They are doing their best. Like in our hospital, the oxygen tank capacity is of 15. And normally, in normal circumstances, in 600-bedded hospital, we use 1.5 to 2. So the oxygen capacity, storage capacity is for 7 days. And today we are utilizing 15 per day. so 7 to 8 times more than the usual capacity. So you are basically hand to mouth. We need to fill the tanker every 12 hours or every 24 hours. So it's a situation where, we don't know whether tomorrow oxygen, we will get the oxygen, we will not get the oxygen. Though it is slightly better than what it was last week, as we discussed, but this is the situation. Also, when your capacity is says 15, but your capacity to provide the oxygen through the tubing is only 2 to 3. When the pressure is very high and all cylinders are firing and all beds are using oxygen, there is the danger of valve busting. If the valve bursts, the oxygen supply goes away, and that is what happened in Nasik.
Correct.
But unfortunately, nobody is prepared for that.
Okay, it's a good point that you've raised. Okay, Dr. Gilada, so keeping these points in other parts of the country that are still 2 or 3 weeks behind, just like Delhi was 2 or 3 weeks behind Mumbai, on the assumption that things in Delhi, with the amount of attention and effort going into it, will eventually stabilize. What would your advice to be to other administrators? Because not only the people who are supplying the hospitals, but the people who are running the hospitals, what should they prepare for without, of course, hoarding themselves?
Basically, in the first wave, there was a talk about utilizing the trains. Currently, trains are not running in full capacity. Trains can be converted into oxygen beds, and there are a lot of banquet halls or marriage halls or community halls are empty now. So nothing is happening. So we can convert all those places as COVID care centers, oxygen care centers, so that at least we can remove the rush from big hospitals. So they can only cater to.
We've had this, so at least the oxygen concentrator level people, not the high flow oxygen, the concentrator level people up to 10 liters per minute can go to the other facilities where you just need electric supply. You don't need any oxygen supply whatsoever.
Yeah, sometimes senior doctors given advice why patients are dying because patients are coming late to hospital. So patients are going early. So there is a big rush. So we must augment that rush. So who should go to hospital, at what level they should call doctor. Sometimes they call in the midnight, they said his oxygen is 87, but actually it's not 87. So we make a video call, do like this, it is 94, 95. So patient also go in panic, they are not doctors. And suddenly in one finger it is 97, in another finger it is 87. It also happens that.
Let me just put out there, if you do buy this machine, the oximeter, do read the instructions. And there are videos out there, we'll share some links of them, of how to insert the finger. If you're having mehendi or nail paint, it doesn't work as well. In bright sunlight, it will show you a lower reading, so you have to take it internally. Do read the instructions, because I had this experience a few months ago, initially with an oximeter, of taking at someone in the courtyard, and it was in the low 80s. And then as soon as you went inside, it was 95, because of bright sunlight interfering with the laser inside that machine. How you insert the finger, all these things matter, and be very careful of making the measurement, and the advice is available. Try it on somebody else's hand to see if the reading is normal or not, to see if the oximeter is working. These basic things matter. Nail paint.
Another thing, Rishabh, for oximeter, never check it lying down. Just sit up, take deep breaths, and then check the oximeter. If you are fit enough to walk 2-3 minutes, do that, then check the oximeter. Don't see it lying down flat like this.
Okay.
Don't check, then it will come low.
One bit of practical advice, and I think Dr. Gilada can come in on this. For those people, sleep apnea, I mean, that people who snore at night, okay? In the morning, the oxygen meter reading can be a little bit lower in the first 10-15 minutes. So don't wake up in the morning, check the oximeter and panic that, oh my God, why am I 89? It generally stabilizes within half an hour. These small things all make a difference. Gentlemen, okay. There have been less SOSs in the past 24 hours. It's not easy to get an oxygen bed in Delhi right now. But from all the information I'm hearing, that there are now things in motion to stabilize Delhi. The challenge now is in other areas. That Delhi is probably going to get stabilized in this coming week. If the caseload reduces, not by a lot, even by 10%, oxygen supply stabilizes by 10%, that threshold level just balances itself out. And things can stabilize. But the warning is to everywhere else, everywhere in the country, don't panic, because now we know what we need to do. Okay.